Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, this is part 3. This is going to be a long-running series on this lawnmower. But we're still on the deck, and there's a lot of things we have to do on the deck, and I'm going to explain why I believe that they should be done. This is a stamped steel deck. More than likely, and this is speculation, but I've been in the industry long enough to know how stuff's made. This probably comes off a roll. It's stamped in a big hydraulic press or a double crank press, and that's good enough. We all know that right in this area here, where the wheels go, eventually it starts to come out like that. These holes wallow out. The wheel starts this, that, the other thing. We've got the front wheel done. It's not going anywhere. We'll be running 6-inch pneumatic wheels, so there'll be a lot more bounce, a little bit more weight to the wheels. So what I plan on doing, and I could lay the piece of metal over this and weld it, but what I've seen in the past, and working in the industry and what have you, that water will egress in between the two, start rusting, and start pushing them out. So we are going to cut pieces of metal, and we're going to cut this out. We're going to flush fit it in here, do a weld on the outside, which will be ground smooth, and then the heavy weld will be on the inside. Now, looking at this area right here, it's rounded over, and it's got these, excuse me, it's got these holes right here. Well, I bought this at Tractor Supply. This is going to go in between the 2 1/4-inch plates, and then we're going to weld it again. That's going to tie these two sides in, and then I'm going to gusset it this way, so that's going to strengthen the deck up really good at the back. Right here where the grass is ejected, right here, this is going to be welded up with sheet metal. It's going to be a full mulching mower, so this is not needed. This area up here, where the holes are at right here, I'm going to reserve that for right now, because what I might do with this, and possibly I might do, I've got the front wheel ordered, one of the back wheels, so I can get the height and everything, and it's still a money thing. This is like a toy. It's going to be a toy I love. And I'm trying to build this thing to where it lasts many years, because a lot of times I own 2 dachshunds. They are direct descendants of billy goats, I think, because they eat stuff in the yard. So I vacuum the yard pretty heavy with a bagger, so I'll use that one. But for just catch-up cuts and stuff like that, and I'll mulch everything, this will be my go-to lawnmower right here. So I want to build it to last, and I don't want the wheels wobbling. I want the wheels nice and straight. That's going to help these. So if I have to, I'm going to fill this full of lead, give this some more weight. I've got the chain, the front wheel ordered, and one of the back wheels, so we can get the motor mounted and everything on the front, and get the location we need for the back wheels. On my other lawnmower, the distance here is 1 inch. So this is actually 1 inch. So, I'm sorry, it's 1.5 inches is what I cut the yard now. So this, I think about going an 1.25 inches. So that'll put my 3 inches somewhere up here. because it's a 6-inch wheel, but I had to buy them to make sure where the center point's going to be. So what we'll be doing is we'll be plating this in, putting this in there, putting this in, and gusseting it on the inside to give it a lot more strength. We'll be, like I said, we'll be working on the deck, cleaning it up, and then eventually when we get all this done, get this put in and everything else, we will be painting it. I would like to coat the inside with something. Some people have told me bed liner. Some people have said some other stuff. And then a lot of people said don't bother, because the dirt and the sand and the grass and the speed that they're moving is just like sandblasting, so nothing's going to stay on there anyhow. If y'all got any input on that or anything, if y'all put something in the inside of a deck to keep it from rusting up or anything like that, please comment. I would like to keep this thing around a while because it's not that it's going to be that expensive, it's just going to be that nice to have. Because whenever you use a sentence that has cutting grass and fun in it at the same time, very rare. So I think this will be fun, and I think it will be fun to cut grass. So the only thing I can say is, let's get to it. Ran into a little snag, but not much. Funny thing is, though, we talked about lining the inside of it with something to stop the corrosion of it, make it last as long as possible. Well, welding this this one up was a piece of cake. It was nothing. This one here, I have a lot of problems. And I still have to go over there and fill this in, which is no big deal. And then grind the rest of it smooth. But it was so thin. And you can see right here how thin it was compared to this side over here. And that was nice and thick. That was no trouble. And when I get over to this one, it's just as thin as it can be. And the point I was getting at about the wheels, I'm fixing to show y'all. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So, this is the thin piece, and it is, and I'm going to set that back there to make sure y'all getting, actually I'm going to set it right here to make sure y'all are getting a good picture of this. But this was the thin one, and if I can get it up under here, and get this thing focused in a little bit. It's about as good as I'm going to get it. That's the edge of the hole. You see that right there? And that runs all the way out to the next hole. It was already cracking. But what kind of gets me here is, and whenever they were talking about sandblasting, that was taken out from under let me see right here. That was taken out from under the paint. The corrosion and rust and what have you, it actually ate it up. All the way up under the paint. Now, the paint is still there. Now we're going to flip it over and look at it. And that's the hole. And that's where the crack, let me make sure now, yeah. That's where the crack is. And you can see it run up that other hole. So it wasn't long for it to fail. Now this one here is not bad at all. And I'm going to run a little video of this because it's probably not picking it up like it should on this camera. So what I'm going to need to do here, whenever I get this cleaned up, and welded up in here, and get my pipe in here, get this welded in too. that thinned out, and I've got a pretty good bit of weld up in here, but I still got to do some outside so I can clean it up good. I think what's happening is when it catches it, it's throwing the grass and dirt into this, and it's kind of vortexing around. Just, it kind of makes sense to me. Probably how this is thinner on this side than this side. Same thing here. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this off, close this off, close this off, and then this is probably catching, and it looks like it's been hit pretty hard, and close this off too. So I'm going to roll some metal after this is in, after we get this in and I get this cleaned up, and I'm probably going to close all this in. So that's just me wanting this thing to last a long time, and the stuff that's gonna have to go through to get it done. Oh well, let's get to it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I've got done so far. That's going to stiffen up the back wheels and tie in the deck really good and everything. Now, as far as the erosion and corrosion from the spray of the dirt and the grass and the sand and everything, what I'm going to do, instead of trying to weld a whole bunch more stuff on here, and sometimes you just open up a bigger can of worms, some holes I'm going to seal up, and that's going to be these right here. I'm going to weld them up, and I'm going to weld this hole up. But I have done enough on this video to kind of give you an idea if you're going to do this. And like I said, you know, the old materialistic weasel disclaimer, don't do anything I do. But just say, suppose you were going to make one of these for yourself. Find one that's got a, you know, you don't want to buy a brand new one, but, you know, find one that's got a good deck. We saw that this one was, even though it looked good from the outside, it was already failing and cracking from the erosion. So what I'm going to do when I get all this sealed up, I'm going to clean it all up. I'm going to chemical clean it, and I'm going to spray coat it with bed liner, and I'm just going to keep bed liner on it. Try to protect it as much as possible. But the deck will all be done. The next video will be pretty much getting the motor and the wheel centered up, and what will happen is, and hopefully I'll drill a 1/2-inch hole because there are 1/2-inch axles for the rear wheels. Drill a 1/2-inch hole, grab a long bolt long enough to span the width of the hub, and a lock nut, and drill a 1/2-inch hole through here and weld it from the back side and bolt the wheel right on up. There is a bit of a slant on these, but I'm going to make sure that the the rear axle is square and level with everything. So that's it, guys. We're gonna get this done. I'm excited to get the motor and the wheel on the front to get that done. With all luck, and we'll see. And getting the sprocket on the wheel, I think's going to be not too bad. So we'll see. And like I said, I'm trying to do everything with just a welding machine and a few tools, and I'm stick welding everything, where some stuff I should TIG weld, but it's just a lot faster. It saves gas, everything else, just to stick it out. Once the flex seal, not flex seal, bed liner, whenever it gets sprayed on there, you're not going to recognize or see any of it anyhow when it's running. So we're not really wet underneath. We're just more or less concerned about the outside. So we want a little bling, you know. So that's it. Hit like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want, because this is going to be a long running. There's so much to do. There's just no way you can get it in one video, no matter how fast I speed it up. So hit the bell, hit like, subscribe, please, and y'all have a good day.